Hello there, it's Alana Tucky here to share some more calculator instructions with you. This time we're going to be finding the zeros of a function, which by the by also means that you're finding the x-intercepts. They're kind of one and the same. That'll become clear once we do this problem. So I'm actually going to solve the problem right here where it's x squared minus 2x minus 8 equals 0. Since the other side is equal to 0, what I'm going to be doing on the calculator is finding the zeros of the function. See right there in the list. That'll, again, become a little bit more clear. And of course, the problem isn't equal to 0. You can do it two ways. Like these problems weren't equal to 0, so we just put left side in one, right side in the other, and use intersect. Cool. But if it is equal to 0, then you can use the 0 function. All right, so how do you go about doing that? Well, that's a little bit tricky. So we go to y equals. We type in our lovely equation, which was x squared minus 2x minus 8. There we go. We got it. Okay, so now I'm going to press graph and see if the zeros are on the screen. And they are. Great. If they're not on the screen, then you have to go to window and kind of adjust your window to make it so that they are on the screen, right? Or you can try some of the zooms if you like. If you like zoom out particularly, might be helpful. But zoom out zooms in all directions, and that can sometimes be a little bit annoying because all you might really want is more x's. You don't really need the y's to get really big as well, right? So when you zoom out, like let's say would turn this to negative 40, this to positive 40, this to negative 40 for the y min, and the y max to 40. Well, you don't really need those two to change, you know, that kind of thing. So zooming out alone can really make your graph really tiny. So I usually prefer fiddling around with the window if I can. All right, but luckily for us, we didn't have to bother with any of that because the two zeros are on the screen as it is. So, cool. All right, so I'm going to go to second calc, and I'm going to pick number 2, which is 0. All right, now the cursor starts off in the middle of the screen, which in this case is the x-axis, or the y-axis, because the standard window was employed here. All right, so it's sitting right down there kind of blinking, and it's asking me, is that the left bound? Well, let's find this one on the left, right over here. So if I want to find the one on the left, no, that's not to the left of that. Left bound means I need to move the cursor so that it's to the left of the 0 I'm trying to find, which that one was not. So I move it over here. So now the cursor is to the left. See, the 0 is right here. That cursor is blinking to the left of it. As long as the cursor is on the left side, it'll work. So I'm going to press enter. All right, so now it started up a little arrow here, and it's saying, okay, what's your right bound? And that means you got to move with the right arrow. You got to move it, move the cursor so that it's to the right of the 0. So there's the 0, and that cursor's to the right of it. And you press enter. And then it wants to know your guess. So you can kind of move the cursor close to the 0 and press enter. You don't technically have to do that, but it works better if you do. And there it is, -2, 0. All right, and then you have to do it all over again to find the other one. So you go to second calc, pick number 2, 0, and it starts off at the place that the last one was. It's not going to start in the middle anymore. So it's saying, is this to the left? Well, no, that's the 0. So let me move over here with my right arrow, and I'm going to get the cursor kind of over here so it's to the left of that 0. So the 0 is over here where the intersection is, right? See what I mean about the 0 being the intercept? Right? So the 0 is where that x-intercept is. So I just need the cursor to be the left of that, which it is. So I'm going to press enter. And now it's going to ask me the right bound. So I move with my right arrow so that the cursor is over here to the right of that 0. It's not up and down, it's right and left. That's what matters. So I'm to the right of that 0, so I'm going to press enter. And then it wants a guess. You can just press enter, or you can move closer, like I've got the cursor closer, and press enter. And there you go. And look, it made a typo. See that? All right, that happens when the calculator, what the calculator does is it's sort of running an algorithm. It's basically running this process. And when it gets close enough to 0, it basically gives up. And what's happening is 1.6 e -12. Remember what that is from scientific notation. Here, hold on. 1.6 e negative 12 is really 0.12345678910111. There. There's your 12th decimal place, right? In other words, it's 0, right? You have to know, oh, okay, that's the calculator messing up, right? You know, it happens. But it really isn't this value. Okay, it's really 4, 0. That 1.6 e negative 12 is not really that. That actually happens moderately often with the items in the calc menu. So there's that happens sometimes with 0, sometimes with min and maxes. It's a little bit rarer with intersection, but it does still happen. But 0, min, and max in particular, because of the way the programmers wrote those programs, they often will have that little mistake in them. So just be careful. All right, I think we are done with finding the zeros of that. So just to reiterate, you type in your equation, right? Get it in there. Make sure that your intersections are on the screen. And by intersections, I mean the intercepts, the places where the graph intersects the x-axis is what I really mean. All right? And then you use second calc, use 0, move your cursor to the left, move your cursor to the right. Right? You've got to have it so that one is below and one is above. That's kind of how it goes. And then press enter, and there you go. And look, that time it did it right. Who knows? All right, and sometimes the calculators will mess up and sometimes they won't, but you've got to know it's finding the 0. And in case you missed it, those zeros are the x-intercepts of that graph because that is one and the same thing. All right, I'll see you back here for more videos.